with you, since this is Father's Day, and we acknowledge the fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man, the sisterhood of all the divine feminine. And this is about a young man who wrote to me on Facebook. Hello, Reverend Stroud. My name is Calvin Johnson. My father's name was Carl Henry Johnson. He sometimes lived under the alias Ed Shapiro or Ed Kaczynski. He passed away in 1982 when he surrendered himself to the FBI in Chicago. I understand that you were critical in helping him find his way back to the light of his life. I would appreciate it if you could share with me anything you remember about him. I think he left a diary with you about all of his struggles while he was on the lam. His false identities, gambling, conviction of guilt, etc. As his oldest son, I have long been in pursuit of information about him. If you still have this diary or any anecdotal information about him during the years he was missing from 1975 to 1982, I would deeply appreciate your help. With all good thanks, Calvin Johnson. Well, what is so fascinating about our way of life? And our topic today is Through the Looking Glass. And Paul, stating to the Corinthians, said, I look through the glass darkly, but then face to face. I know in part, but then I will know in the fullness. For there is faith, there is hope, and there is love. But the greatest of these is love. So when we open to looking through the glass, that looking glass, darkly, but then face to face as we have our realizations. And in 1982, I was giving a talk in my San Diego ministry about when you gaze into the mirror, do you love who's gazing back to you? Because the eye in which I see God is the same eye in which God sees me. That we are all co-creators with this energetic substance that we choose to call God. It doesn't matter what we call it. Energy, life, cause, Father, Mother, Yahweh, Brahman, Buddha. It doesn't matter. But to acknowledge that amazing energy is within us. And to acknowledge that which is within us is greater than that which resides in the world of conditions, appearances, and effects, because those are always going to turn up. And so this young man reaching out to me about his father, who was CPA, that is not cleaning, pressing, and alterations, when you're with a bank. I was a certified public accountant. He was the bank controller in an Albany bank in Chicago, and he was having marital problems, and there was a lot of money squabbles. And so one day he just lost it, and he went into the vault, and he took $650,000, and he left. And when the young man in his letter said the years that he was on the lam, that was over 7 years. And now, a federal offense, there is no statutes of limitations. So they were still, the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, was after him for over 7 years. And on that Sunday, I said, when you look into the looking glass, do you love the energy, the expression, and the image that is gazing back to you? I received a phone call. And I was living in Coronado at the time, and he said, I'd like to give you some articles in a newspaper, and I need counseling. And so I took the articles, and I read these articles about somebody named Carl Johnson who stole $650,000 from an Albany bank in Chicago, and I'm reading it, and I'm a little bored because I'm like, why is he having me read all of this, right? And suddenly, the little light bulb goes on, and I think, Ed Shapiro, who's been in our ministry and our treasurer for 2 years, is the same person. And I want you to know he did a fabulous job also. I remember one Sunday when he gave $5,000 and I didn't ask where it came from once I knew who I was reading about. got it. And he wanted to come over, and I'm living, you know, my former assistant from my former ministry's there staying with me, and we've got all these plans, and I didn't really want to see him, but, you know, I felt I should. And so I said, if you can get here at 9 o'clock in the morning, because we have plans, I have, you know, my former assistants here for the weekend. And so we heard the knock on the door, and I said to my daughter, she was 12 then, and I said to Marilyn, just go on upstairs, and I will, you know, I'll meet with him. And I hear Tricia, she's going upstairs, she goes, well, at least he's not a murderer. You know, she's looking at the bright side, right? Looking at the bright side of it. And so we sit down, and I said, you know, I read through all of this, and I think it's incredible that you've been on the land for over 7 years. He goes, no, I went to Vegas, I tried to lose money, I buried $150,000 in a preserve right outside Cincinnati. Over in Pennsylvania was another 100,000. I'm thinking to myself, you know, I could have got rid of it a lot sooner than that. But I'm listening. And I said, there's only one thing to do. And he said to me, you said Sunday, do you love the reflection gazing back to you when you look in the mirror? And I had to say, no. I've operated under so many aliases. I've been on the run for so long. I left 2 little twin boys at 7 years old, and my older son was 9. 7 years. I missed the most important years of their lives. Nothing, no amount of money can bring that back. I said, you need to surrender. You need to absolutely, I said, you've got money buried. I mean, you know, you can give part of it back, but you need to surrender. And when you surrender, this is going to be amazing for you. Because he couldn't see his parents, he didn't let anyone know where he was, because he thought their phones are tapped, you know, all of that. And so, in 2 days, we got it together. I had to have a criminal attorney go with us, so I called my attorney friend, and he said, I don't do criminal law, but my partner does. His name was Sam Castiglione, and we got on a flight together. We flew to Chicago. We made it to, in fact, what was so interesting is the night before he surrendered, we took a carriage ride, you know, a horse-drawn carriage. I love those. I got to see his elementary school, his middle school, his high school, and Northwest, where he got the CPA. And he shared about his life and always not feeling good enough, not always looking into the mirror and feeling that that's God gazing back to him. For the eye in which I see God is the same eye in which God sees me. Never really having that recognition, that realization, that the thing I'm looking for, I'm looking with. Dr. Ernest Holmes states that life is the mirror of both king and slave. It doesn't matter any socioeconomic, it doesn't matter what any race, color, creed, or sexual orientation. Our God is there for each of us unconditionally. We are all co-creators with this energy. So we went on this amazing, amazing journey the night before. At about 11 o'clock that night, he calls me from his room and he says, I'm getting cold feet. I said, of course you are. Of course, this is natural. But you're going to have a whole new beginning tomorrow. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And so we got a taxi over to the Federal Bureau of Investigation in Chicago, Illinois. I walked in, I said, this is Carl Johnson. He's been a fugitive for 7.5 years. He's here today to surrender for the $650,000. $650,000 that he took from the Albany Bank down the street 7.5 years ago. So they took him into handcuffs, into custody immediately. Sam was there, and I said, Carl, I've got a good feeling about this. It's all going to unfold. And I said, do you want me to go and see your mother and your father? And the FBI person, representative, said, you may not speak to the fugitive. Excuse me? So my attorney, my friend, says, he's there, there's the FBI people. They're embarrassed, Dr. Sharon, that this darling minister from San Diego brought him in to surrender when they've been after him for 7.5 years. He's saying this out loud so that they're there, they can hear. They're very embarrassed. Now you have to realize in 1982 I was a little younger. I was a bit younger. And I said, all right, we'll go, and Sam's there, and he gets the address from Carl there. I can't talk to the fugitive. I'm not an attorney, like Clayton is. So, we go to Dickens Street. You can't make this stuff up. And Sam says, this is so Dickens-esque, I cannot believe that we're doing this. His parents are curators at a Methodist church with a spiral staircase leading up. We're going up the spiral. I knock on the door, I hear a woman's voice saying, who is it? And I say, it's Reverend Sharon Stroud from San Diego, California. I'm here to tell you that your son, Carl Johnson, is alive and well and just surrendered to the FBI. She opens up the door and she, oh my God, we thought he was dead. His father is laying on the couch. He's just had open heart surgery. He's in recovery. He said, our son is alive? I said, your son is alive. And we sat down, we had tea. And she said, was this mafia inspired? And I said, no, he thought of it all on his own. Right? All on his own. So we had this amazing visit with the parents. Then Sam and I, we went to lunch in Chicago, and we were in this like altered state, this whole unfoldment of Carl. And when I got home, you know, the journalists, I was on the front pages of everything. I was in Time magazine. The UPIs had it on every major station. Minister, young, beautiful minister, brings a fugitive in. When FBI could not find him, you know, that kind of thing. And the press said, well, was there something between you and Carl? I hung up on him. And he called back and goes, well, I have to ask. I said, you don't have to ask. I said, that's really in bad taste. So we went from there, and I received calls from him. He said, I feel this connection with the FBI. We've flown out to Cincinnati Forest Preserve. We've dug up $150,000. We've gone over to Pennsylvania to dig up another $100,000. And what is so fascinating about the energy of when somebody surrenders and they let go and let God do what God does best, and realizing that the veil is very thin between our worlds, that we can operate between the worlds. He called to say, we're going to go get the final money in Pennsylvania. And then I received a call from the press that the plane with the 4 FBI men and Carl crashed into a metaphysical bookstore in Pennsylvania. And they all immediately passed. So when we look at collective consciousness, and we look at when we're here and we have a destiny to fulfill, that death is not extinguishing the light, it's turning off the lamp because dawn has come. Death is not evil, it is an incident. It's the pause between 2 notes of music and an unfinished symphony. It's the light coming through that cracked door. And so when Ernest Holmes says, what is death but the impatient gesture of the soul to rid itself of a body it no longer needs, we are ready. And while we are here, to live here in quality, to have a sense of why we are here and the destiny that each and every one of us is fulfilling. And in those moments of crises, when we have a healing crisis, it portends a greater healing. It creates an amazing energy field to lift us to the next level so that we don't collapse ourselves into the fear. But we embrace what's going on at that moment, because this is what's going on here and now, which is the only moment there is. The point of power is what? Always in the present moment. And when we understand that, then we understand that there is an unfoldment. There's a harmony and balance in the universe. when Charlie Brown and Linus were outside and it was dark and there was all these beautiful stars in the sky, and Charlie said, "Oh, let's wait for a falling star, Linus." And Linus said, "Really?" And then he thought, well, I wouldn't want it to fall just on my account. You know, Linus is very humble, right?
Yeah.
But the universe is unfolding as it should. It's on everyone's account because there's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is our life right now. I saw that Allison on Facebook had put this great meme, and it was, you know, I'd rather be unique than perfect. And I wrote, the truth is, we're already perfect.
Yeah.
Right? We're already perfect by virtue of the fact that we are created in the image and likeness of God, and that it is good and what? Very good. Not just good. Very good. So when Carl had his healing and called up and said, I can look in the mirror now, and I love who's gazing back to me. I love that person. No aliases. No on the run from anybody. And his son wrote me. And he wrote me some beautiful poetry. He wrote about his father that he hadn't seen since he was 7 years old. And he said, I went into the post office, Dad, and I saw your picture posted up. I took it down because I'll always have your back. Because I know on one level, you'll always have mine. And I still have the letter you left me when I was 7 years old. So what an amazing unfoldment. And that this young man should reach out to me all these years later. Any information, and I said, your dad was a great guy. He was our treasurer for 2 years. I mean, he was there totally and completely, and he had this love in the congregation. And he left her a little, it was like a little jewel box. It was that tin can art where it's just beautiful. And guess what it played? If I Were a Rich Man. If I Were a Rich Man. And the truth is, we are all deeply, deeply enriched by every experience we have ever had. Because we're all going somewhere. Do you know where it is? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. And so it is. And thank you for tuning in. We love you. To Beverly, to Emma, for your love, your donations, and your light. God bless you.